3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so I want to make a Dumbo Octopus type design. So this is a design that I did in Procreate, but I want to do a cute Dumbo Octopus first, and maybe I'll do this weird stuff after that first. So let's add a sphere. So we have a general sphere. You can tap front here to make sure you're in the front. If you can go to my website and download this image if you want to do this little creature as well. And if you want to import it, you just go here, tap the image, import photos, then you can import any image that's on your iPad. And just as a quick refresher, in the camera I'm in orthographic, and I like to sculpt in, if you tap the little sun, matte cap, and this is PXG clay. All right, so we can go ahead and validate the sphere, and this is going to be head. So we tap the 3 dots, and this is going to be the head. So let's make the hardest part, which is the tentacles. So we're going to use the tube tool. We're going to use path, and path just means you can place every node versus like curve where you just draw every node, but then there's a ton of nodes. So I usually use path. And also snap is if you wanted to do, like if you were going to do a curve with snap, it snaps to the surface. If you don't have snap, it's not snap to the surface. Just FYI. So path, no snap, and the first thing we want to do is, let's just start with, whoop, start that again. We'll start with one here. You drag, lift off. Let's go down here, lift off. Then you keep doing that. So, and you can move these nodes around. So let's just make like a swirl. And see, sometimes it will not be connected to the one you want. So another easy way to do it is, like, let's say you want to go, watch it work. Well, anyway, if it keeps getting stuck like that and you're trying to like grab it, but it keeps grabbing this one, you can just add a node in the middle, and then you can bring it down. So basically we're just making like a nice little squiggle like this. So maybe something like that. Not too bad. You might have an issue. Yep, that always happens. So when you tap on the green, it's supposed to bring it into a tube, but if it's too close to these lines, then it won't. So just move those lines away, and then it should make the tube. It's a little crazy, but not that bad. So I'm going to turn it to the left, and I'm just going to straighten this out. So I'm going to take this node and just straighten that out. So we have something like this. So the next move, obviously we need to thicken this up and make it look like a tentacle. So first let's hit spline. So that will make all of these nice and curvy instead of these kind of round boxy. There we go. So now it's nice and curvy. So the next thing we want to do is, we have the radius here. Now we have one, see there's one little black line checked. You can hit it again, and then there's 2. So if you hit it 3 times, then each node can be adjusted once. This is the general shape, general size. 2, then it's like this end can be bigger, this end can be smaller. So that's pretty much what it is. So obviously we want to make it sort of like this. So I think that looks pretty good. But we also have to adjust the profile. And this is very useful. Before, I would have had to use flatten and try to flatten out the bottommost side while keeping the top side round. You know, for example, like this bottom side would be flatter, and then this top side would be round. But profile will help us with that. So we hit profile, and it makes it kind of boxy to begin with, which could be cool too. But when you go to profile, this can be a little daunting, but think of it as this is the way that we're, like if we were to cut the tube in half that we made and just look at it straight on, that's kind of like what this is. But these are nodes on the corner that can be moved, and you know, and you see it moves this as well. So you can tap on them and see how this side is flat. It's actually the wrong side. I think usually I twist it, but if we tap on these again, and maybe we tap on the top, make the top round and the bottom flat. See how the bottom is flat, but the top is still round? So that's pretty much what we want. But it's not really straight, so I'm gonna hit left, and instead of moving all of these, we can now use twist. So I'm gonna hit twist, and you have the little pink node. And we just want to worry about the little pink node for now, and you'll just see that it'll just kind of twist it. See how it just twists it? And I'm just going to do it until it's pretty much straight. There you go. So now it's straight. So the only thing you want to do now is adjust these little white nodes until this is a nice round sort of Swiss roll. So I'm going to move it up because right now it's going into that bottom one. So I'm going to move it up till it's just on the surface. Just move all my little nodes. And see, I'm actually going to move this down. And notice how, like, I want this part to just go right into the middle. So I'm just going to add another node here so I can twist it a little bit better. So something like that. And then again, I'll just adjust these until it's just a nice kind of even roll like that. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. And unfortunately, if you change the size, then you kind of have to go in and adjust everything. But I think that looks really nice. Check the profile, it looks good. So we're going to use this one and we're going to mirror it. So we have this tube. Let's tap the three dots and rename it. I'll just rename it T1 for Tentacle 1. Okay, so we can add a mirror, and that will mirror it on the other side. And we have the mirror here, but then we have the actual tentacle, the one that's mirrored. But we can still use the gizmo. So we'll take the gizmo, and we're going to use this green ring to just tilt it forward. And now we can turn it to the side. So I turn it to the left side, and you can move this up a bit. So something like that. And now we can take the head, and we can sort of figure out how we want the head to be. I'm going to use that orange ring to make it a little wider, like so. And if we want, we can look back at the image. So it's just a pretty round head. Cute. So I'm going to take move, and we have our symmetry on. So right now this symmetry is the left and the right. I'll make the move tool a little bit bigger. Maybe I just want to just kind of give it a little shape. I don't want it to be just like round, too round. But I'm also going to give it some shape in the back too. And we'll have to adjust this. And I'm looking at this view so I can bring the bottom, like the bottom part out a bit too. The back bottom. Okay, I like that. So now we're gonna, and I haven't validated this because we might need to adjust them as we go, but we'll see. And also we might close those a little bit together, but we'll see. So let's go back into our scene and clone. So now we have this, and let's rename it T2. It was a good movie. So now we use the gizmo and we're on T2, so we can move it back. And we can open it up a little bit with those rings on the side. And they actually feel a bit small to me. Another thing that we can do, let's tap on the first one. And right now I have a line, so I'm going to take it off of a line because I want to just stretch it, I think. Just make it a little thicker. Yes. So I want it to be thick like that. So I'm going to go to the T2, and we can probably do the same thing. Just make it a bit thicker. And we might want to separate them a little bit. Okay, so I want to go back to the front tentacles, because there's a little bit of, you can see that they're sort of hard surface. They have some like edges. So there's a couple things we can do. I want to do this before I validate, because I still want to use these options. Once you validate, you can't do any of this stuff. So I'm going to tap here, and I want to do the subdivision. I'm going to put it up to 2. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I just want to make sure that this is nice and tucked away. So it sort of looks like it's getting smaller, even though it isn't. Make that a little bit bigger with the orange node. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then you can do the same for this if you want. I might just make this a little bit thicker. That looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to take the front ones again, and I want to clone them. And this will be T3. And I want to hit align. And we're hitting a line so we can move it straight back, because if a line is off, it's going to be aligned to the tentacle. It's easier to turn a line on, and then you can move it straight back to where it needs to go. And you can twist it. You can move that back. And we can sort of figure out how we want this to sort of play out, which I'm not actually sure. But we can click on one of the shapes, we can click on the tube tool, and then we can sort of adjust this if we need to. Like we can bring this more into the body. We can tap on this one as well, and we can bring that more into the body. We can move these closer. And also, we can take the head, use the move tool, make sure symmetry's on. It'll make the back of the head a little bit wider. So something like that. Can probably do it with these. And it might take a little time, but whoop. Kind of adjust these nodes a little bit. I think I like that. I think this one needs to come out a little bit more. So I'm going to take the gizmo and just move this kind of separate a little bit. And then I'm going to hit tube, and I'm going to bring this a little bit closer inside the body, like that. And maybe I'll do the same with this. I'll use the gizmo and I'll just kind of separate them out a little bit. Let me hit align. There we go. That seems a little bit better. So we can do something like that. And then we can take, let's take the front ones again, and let's clone them. T4. And we'll move these all the way to the back. We'll flip them. Let's go to the tube tool and sort of move these a little bit. And then we'll just have to just use these rings and kind of adjust them until they look decent. Maybe something like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so, and of course you can adjust these as much as you want. You have just go to your tube tool and you can spread them out, make them bigger, smaller, whatever it is you want to do, or you can just keep it simple like this. I might stretch these two out a bit. Take it off of a line and just see how that looks. Tap a line again so I can move it back. That's kind of nice. So we should probably just start validating these. Let's see what happens if I move this forward and then I hit drag. The thing about drag, oh no. Pull this up a bit. Now I'm just using drag so I can sort of bring it in, you know, however I want. Validate all of your tentacles once you're happy with them. And then I would say just adjust them if you want to adjust them. You can use drag or move. They're still in mirrors, so you don't need symmetry. So they look pretty good. This still feels a bit small, so you can thicken them up. Just make sure to watch the align. Just take it off of a line if that helps. And also, like for example, for this one, if I want to spread it, if I want to thicken it up this way, I'll take pivot and then I'll move it like this. Then I'll hit pivot again. And then I'll be able to stretch it out this way. You won't be able to do that if you have a line. If you have a line and you try to do pivot, it doesn't give you those options to move it. So just take it off of a line and then you can move the pivot. See, now these feel a little bit close. So I'll just take move, kind of just spread them out forward a bit. Maybe a little bit closer to each other. Like this can come out a bit. That seems nice. And the head feels a bit too small, so I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger. So maybe something like this is good for the octopus. Make it a little more round. Yeah, I think something like that looks pretty good. I'm going to take all of these on one side and just move them over. Maybe even tilt them a little bit more. I just want them to be like a bit spread out a little bit more. So that looks pretty good. Make them bigger. So I'm just sort of making adjustments that I feel kind of make sense on the fly. The head to be a little bit longer. So now I'll just take drag and not too big. I'll make the drag a bit small and then just kind of drag these into the body as needed. I think that looks nice. Make sure to save often. Okay, so now I want to spread these bottom tentacles so that they're sort of touching. So I'm just going to take drag. You can probably take drag or move. Maybe I'll try move. Make it a little bit smaller. Just make sure you have this one selected, and then you can sort of just drag it over. And notice I'm just dragging it over sort of smoothly because I want it to be, yeah, pretty much like that. But I want to make sure that this is still a nice and curvy here. I think that looks good. And the next thing I want to do is flatten the head. So I'm going to take flatten, put it up to about 100. And here's my flatten tool settings. I guess this is okay for now. So I'm going to flatten this because I'm going to put, you know, the face or whatever here. But I don't know. I just want to give it a little dimension, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now we have a nice flat front, which I will take smooth and then smooth out. Okay, looks good. So now let's make these little things, and we'll just use spheres for that for now. So we'll go here. Oh, let's label this tentacles. All right. Let's add a sphere. We'll hit Gizmo. Move it over. Oh, see, it already added it into this mirror, which is fine. We can leave it in there. Let's label this ears. But it's good to be aware of like where the shapes go. So we're going to put these towards the back. I think I want them around there. And we can validate them, and then we just need to make this cute little Dumbo ear shape. So I think I just want to stretch them out. And then maybe I'll push the top. And then slowly bend until we kind of get this like nice round shape. It's a lot of like push and pull. And make this a little bit smaller. So something like this, but doesn't need to be really sharp. I want to keep this nice and soft. So as you can see, I'm just kind of pulling the back and the front just to kind of get it a little more round and cute. And then I'll just scale them down a bit. And then maybe rotate them towards the back. I think that looks pretty good. Give them a little smooth. So something like this. Maybe I want to think I like that. I think I just want the top to be a little bit more round. Bring this side in a little bit more. I don't know, I'm all about those little details. It's still a little, feels a little big to me. So I'm gonna hit align. Just kind of adjust it how I think it needs to be adjusted. This is kind of personal preference. Oh, I think I like that. I think that's a good front view, good profile. I think I like that. Okay, let's put some eyes on him. So we'll do the cute. We'll do it kind of cute to begin with. So we'll go up to the head, add a sphere. And we can mirror it. So now we can figure out where we want these eyes to go. And again, this is also like personal preference. That's kind of cute. You can see if you maybe want them smaller or bigger. Closer together, further apart. And I want to save this as. So I'm going to save it again, but save as, new. And I'll just make this one print because I want to try some other things. I want to make this little character. So I might do that after this. So now we have the eyes, we have the tentacles. Everything seems pretty good. Seems the way that I want it. So now the only thing is, how do we want to work the tentacles going into the skin? Because this would all be one piece. I want to voxel merge the head to the tentacles, but I don't want to lose a lot of this nice detail here. So let's go to the tentacles. Let's take the ears out, and we can give it its own mirror. So we'll do add mirror. So then they have their own mirror. We can change them later if we want. I'll just rename this ears or ers, sure. I'm going to take the tentacles and validate them. So now we have tentacles, and I just want to rename this eyes. So now we go to the tentacles, select mask, we'll use the lasso, and I just want to protect these. I guess we can do symmetry. Let's solo, hit solo. I just want to protect this detail. There we go. We can hit solo again. So now we have the tentacles in the head. I'm gonna hit save. And we can voxel remesh this together around, maybe around 250. Okay, so now everything is voxel remeshed. We can take smooth and just smooth where the body goes into the tentacles. And we don't have to worry about it ruining the details. So we'll get that nice and smooth. If you want to add a little bit here, you can just use clay. And you can sort of fill it in if you want, and then smooth. So you want to fill in those pockets a little bit. Okay, so now we can let these go. So select mask, tap up here and hit clear. And it looks like we do have to smooth this out a bit. Whoop. So let's go to smooth. And I'm just going to take care to smooth this out without losing too much detail. And this, this is a little time consuming, but that's the game. Just be careful not to press too hard. Okay, this looks pretty good. And if you do happen to do a little too much, you can take crease, make it pretty small. And you can sort of reinvigorate your work as needed. Bust out your drawing skills. Oh, this needs to be flattened. It might have some hard edges that you have to deal with. And a lot of times it might even look better to use the crease, because sometimes it makes those little dimples. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. Nice little Swiss roll action. Okay. I think that looks nice. So now let's take this, we'll take the head. Let's validate the ears first. Join children, yes. So we'll take that and let me just make sure I don't want this to come out a little bit more. Whoop. Symmetry. Okay, that looks good. So now I want to take the ears and the head. We'll do a quick save. And then I'll just voxel remesh them together pretty high. I'm going to go like 450. And the reason why I'm going high is I don't want to lose any of the detail that we just worked on down at the bottom. But now we can smooth this top. Smooth these ears. Make sure symmetry's on. Ooh. And clear this. Clear that mask. I don't know how that got there. That looks good. So now we can go ahead and change from matte cap to lit PBR. And we can, let's change the color real quick. It's going to be a yellow. So we'll make it like a nice orangey yellow. I'm not going to do it too glossy, so put the roughness up like that. So that's pretty good for now. The eyes, they might be like, maybe we'll make them black for now. We'll let them be glossy. So now we can go to the lights and turn the environment off. Obviously this is my own custom environment that's on my Gumroad. If you want it, you might have one of these, one of the other ones. But that's okay, we're gonna turn it off for now. And then we'll add a light. This will be our key light. So we'll tap the little pencil, key, 3 little dots, softness. I like soft edges. And we'll just raise this up to maybe 1.85 or so. Let's turn on post-process so we can edit the lights as they're going to look at the end. So we'll tap here, turn on post-process. Quality doesn't have to be too crazy right now. Obviously you can see this is my own custom one. Yours will probably look like, it might look like none. So you just have to go through and turn these on. Global illumination, ambient occlusion. You can adjust those a little bit. That's pretty much it. You can turn these on later. I'm just gonna go back to mine. So that looks great. So now we can adjust the lights and see how they're actually gonna look. So this is good. We have the one light. And let's clone this and bring it over here. Make sure that your light icons are on. So this was the first one. This is the key. It doesn't matter where I put them, but this is so I remember, so I know, okay, this light is the key light coming from over there. This light will be the fill light, so we'll fill in this very dark side. So we'll fill this part in, but we'll lower the intensity just so it's filled the tiniest bit. And this will be the fill light. So let's clone the fill light and let's rename it Edge. And then let's change it to Spot. So now we'll move it back behind him. And we'll use these rings to turn it so it's hitting him right on the edge. Maybe down a bit. Maybe back a little bit. We use this little orange node to raise the cone angle. You can also do it here. Cone angle. A little bit more maybe, and then we'll raise the intensity. So it's bright. So then if you look in the front, there's a nice pretty edge. You can move this light around, you can adjust it, you can bring it a little bit further behind if you want like a thinner edge. You can adjust, pretty much just adjust how the light hits them. Okay, so that looks good. So now let's take this light, clone it, Let's just name it TD for top down, but it doesn't have to be. So now let's take TD, we'll move it over. We'll move it kind of above him. We'll move it up. And then I don't know what I did here. Basically just move it so it's pointing down on his head. There's a lot of stuff in the way on the gizmo, unfortunately. But maybe about right here. Looks kind of cool. I think that looks good. Or, and here's another option, you can move it to the back and do the same thing like we did for the edge, but for the other edge. Maybe move it somewhere like that. So then we hit front, and now there's two. But maybe this one is like a little bit lower, maybe something like that. And you can adjust the cone angle. So something like that. It looks nice. Okay, so now let's just maybe we want this one to look a little bit more blue. And maybe we want the other one to look a little bit more of a different color. Maybe a little more orange. And let's take the key light. It looks like this can be raised a little bit more. So make it a little bit brighter there. And also we can check the environment, so we'll turn the environment on and then just lower it. And you see now we have those nice pops of light. And if you have my environment or any environment, you can rotate it so you can sort of have a little bit more control over where those are. I think that looks nice. Okay, so let's get rid of the reference image, and maybe let's give him a little color. Maybe we'll do something like this. Ooh, and last but not least, so let's tap on him. I'm going to do a quick save, and let's tap here, materials, and go to subsurface. We can bring it down a bit. But this will give him a nice, soft feel. So we'll bring this up a little bit, make it bigger. And then, of course, if you wanted to adjust the surface of him, if you wanted him to be a little bit more glossy, you can do that. Or a little bit more matte. I don't know which one I like better. I think I like matte. I tend to like matte. And of course, if you want to make them super cute, you can always take a sphere. First, let me save this angle. So I'm going to go to the camera, add view, just name this 1 so I can always come back to it. So we have a sphere. I'm going to validate it, bring it forward so we can see it. I'm going to hit symmetry, vertex. Go like this. Turn symmetry off, shrink it. Whoop. Let's put the pivot, center pivot. We'll shrink it. Maybe flatten it a little bit. Make that black as well. You can put a little bend in it. And there you go. Just gives them a little more personality. Oh, and one last thing too. If you want to make these white, whoop, you can do that. Then you can clone them. Clone, make the clones black. Take your gizmo, move them out, shrink them. You might have to adjust them to make them look a little bit more round, but I mean, come on. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm obsessed. And one last thing, if you want to make these bottom lids, all you do is take the whites of the eyes, clone it. You can bring it out and make it its own mirror. So then you just take those whites of the eyes, make it a little bit bigger, change the color, use the same color as the skin, paint all, go to the front, trim, rectangle, boom, cut in half, and you can move it up as you need. You can angle it a little bit if you want. So that's how I did that. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.